round number 7.
That's another Fiora. That's the 4th one.
Unbelievable. How many Fioras are running around? Maybe there's just a lot of Fioras in the top table because this is the 3rd Fiora back to back since round 5. At this point, give me anything else, but I can't complain. I feel like this could be an awesome matchup. LeBlanc versus Fiora. I feel like Fiora has the tools to kind of deal with LeBlanc, but if LeBlanc is able to establish out those Carthas and keep kind of conquering when they can, and make those reflections tokens, is going to pose a problem not just for Fiora but for any deck really. But what I meant by answers is they at least have access to challenge, that you're able to kind of pick away at Carthas in the back line. Or are you familiar with this matchup in general, or is it kind of newer for you as well?
So I'm not familiar with the exact matchup, but with these kind of mid-range into LeBlanc games is more about how can I make sure that my opponent can't get as much value with this LeBlanc trigger. Being able to contest any kind of early ganks, early conquers from the side of LeBlanc can really hinder the deck, because you have to discard to summon these tokens, and if you don't have any good way of restoring your hand with like a Karthus or with sentries, you will eventually start losing the value game. As high value as LeBlanc is.
Yeah, it's very much so, like high risk, high reward. It is the first deck of Riftbound that revolves around the Death Nail keyword, which you love to see, because we were all wondering when is it going to be a Death Nail centric deck, and it looks like we get our answer in LeBlanc for set 3. So let's see what kind of package, because we said it earlier in the tournament, there's kind of 2 shells of LeBlanc running around. There's the more that Karthus, Ruin, Rex, Sacrifice, Hidden Blade variant, and then there's the baited hook variant that runs a little bit of bigger units, takes advantage of Galio as well. I believe it was the Challenger TCG boys that brought it to everyone's attention, but we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't put it past it. If this is an undefeated, I hope this is an undefeated LeBlanc, because I'm ready for some high level Riftbound action, because we've seen a good amount today. But I would love to end off with a crazy game. But maybe I won't speak too soon. I don't want to jinx anything. Let's just expect, or not expect anything, and get pleasantly surprised, which I'm already surprised with the Echo in hand.
Right? The Echo in hand is something you never see in these kind of decks. I do want to add 2 things. So there's also this kind of other LeBlanc playstyle that we haven't seen too often, and that's the blue LeBlanc. Like, blue LeBlanc, Zillions kind of making these very wide boards. But second thing I want to say is there is just kind of, so we talk about how much China loves Yi, and I do think because of the EDG players, China also loves Fiora.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
there's a lot of Fiora lists, a lot of baited hook lists. A lot of people like looking at how good these EDG players are doing and kind of copying it, which is very similar to us when we had that little time where Alan won the RQ and everyone played Ezreal for a week.
Oh yeah, I definitely remember that, but you're exactly right. I feel like Mastery is the number 1 in their hearts, and then Fiora is number 2 for sure, which we could definitely see here in today's first regional for Unleashed in China. We saw majority Fiora today, but pretty much even between Mastery and Fiora. But let's see, that is still a yellow LeBlanc champion, so I don't think they're going the route, as you mentioned before, the blue champion, but it's not the worst, but takes advantage of having, you do have to pay 1 power, but still goes ahead and plays it out. If they have a Karthus turn 2, you're not looking too bad, right? Because you could go ahead and conquer, make your reflections token, and if they can't deal with the Karthus, that could be getting out of hand real fast.
Right, that's draw 4 if you get the temporary kill proc with that LeBlanc legend. And that's just, if we don't have the cards to kind of say no to that, LeBlanc just, it just wins the matchup with this 1 little extra card jump. I will say, this deck is probably one of the maybe aside from Ezreal, is one of the hardest decks to pilot to its maximum potential. Because even in that first turn, you had to make a very important decision of, do I play my LeBlanc or do I play my Soaring Scout? And these mini decisions affect so much going down the future of the game.
Definitely very punishing, if you will. So if any little slight misstep, it kind of starts steamrolling from there, or starts going downhill from there. but goes for the Conquer. Most likely going to be electing to go ahead and play or use that legend ability, discarding something to make a reflection token. There's no way of getting ready to the other battlefield, so most likely just going to be at this battlefield. And let's see if he has a way of either getting the draw now, but I would imagine if he has something like a Carthage, you want to go ahead and establish it now. But I'm a little bit worried about just leaving kind of a Carthage. But to be fair, there's no kind of counter potential from LeBlanc anyway, so might as well kind of throw it down while you can. Or we'll see. I mean, it is 4 energy. Could establish 2-drop units at that.
Now, the card I'm most interested in is this Echo. I think Echo is a card that, on paper, it sounds really good. You know, it's an accelerated unit. He brings back all your runes that you used to pay for accelerating him. So, and now you can get 2 of him. That's like 2 refreshes on your mana. So we might be seeing some kind of greedy plays.
Right, some crazy high risk type of plays, but we'll see. I mean, if you're able to reset your mana pool 2 times in a single turn, now we're getting crazy potential. But first you have to have the cards in hand. But I mean, we're talking about potential cards in hand. The Hidden Blade already guaranteeing at minimum +2 or +3, I should say. It's one actually in the beginning step. If you do it, it's 2 draws. Hidden Blade draws 2 more, so it could be +5 including the draw for turn. So he's definitely going to have the resources going forward. But Fiora doing what they can for the time being. Plays out a Pit Rookie, most likely going to get online the ganking / shield / deflect for Fiora in case they want to target it. More importantly though, it is for the legend ability. Now I'm wondering, do you want to try to get something like a BF sword on the unsung hero as well to kind of get your draw engine online as well?
I mean, I did want, so if we have any way of contesting this early battlefield, getting not only getting rid of this incoming Hidden Blade and the draw 1 and the draw 2, there's a lot of draws that we can kind of circumvent if we have a way of taking over this battlefield. And I think we just might with this incoming attack.
Yeah, let's see exactly what he decides to do. So sending in an unsung hero, if he uses a hidden card for the unsung hero, that's going to be an impressive amount of draw. And if he doesn't use the hidden blade, that's going to be a hidden blade on your own. That's going to be a good amount of cards coming in the way of LeBlanc. But at the same time, that's going to be a conquer on your side. So forgoes the hidden card, trades the LeBlanc for the unsung hero. So both sides of the board are going to be drawing pretty well so far. But now the Fiora coming in. I like the sequencing so far, and doesn't decide to take the risk, saying, you know what, I'd rather keep the Fiora and then use something like ganking on the next turn after you're done with your temporary unit. I like this so far.
I do say that there is one kind of different line he could have tried, where actually never mind. He does make this Hidden Blade go away, right? So we don't get the Dust Rose lab proc, so not as bad as it could be. What I would have loved to see is actually, instead of buffing the Fiora with the Pit Rookie, you buff the Unsung Heroes and then give it the BF Sword. So now it's up to 6. So when you go in for the trade, your opponent either loses both of his units or Hidden Blades you to draw 4. But if he Hidden Blades you, you just equip the BF Sword and attack again.
True, because there are 6 apiece, so you're saying just trade, right? Trade the 2 for 1?
Yeah, so you do you buff the Pit
Unsung,
Rookie.
right.
So you buff the Unsung with Pit Rookie, equip the BF Sword to the Unsung. That is a 6-man attacker. Go into Dust Rose, either take the 2 for 1 trade, or you get Hidden Blade to draw 4. And then afterwards, you're gonna get your BF Sword no matter what, so you just equip that to the Fiora.
Right. The only downside, of course, is that he didn't have any order runes left to attach.
Oh, wait!
So,
Wait, no, yeah, you're so right!
I like the play, but with the lack of order runes, because that probably would have been the more ideal line, but having to do what you can do with the current cards in hand, or rather the cards that got played out from the rune deck, either or, still in a decent position, both 1-1. Now let's see if LeBlanc goes ahead. Actually, they didn't... LeBlanc is tapped, but I think she's tapped in right now, right? Yeah, she is. Okay, so discard the LeBlanc champion.
And this is where you want to see getting up to, that's 2 more runes. That's basically a full turn of ramping that this LeBlanc player has. And look at the amount of cards he has at hand. You know, the one thing that we need right now is the energy to play it. And this Black Rose Dignitary is going to give that opportunity. With this Echo upcoming next turn too.
Yeah, it does cause the power, but as you mentioned before that, Black Rose will be allowing him to get 2 potential runes on this next step. I mean, one from the Temper and then one from the discard, or I should say the sacrifice from the Rose Lab. So that's 2 runes. They will come in exhausted, so won't be able to get utilized on this very next turn, but will down the road be able to get used. Now, that is a tapped out LeBlanc. You have no hidden cards, so this Fiora could very well gank on over. That's just 4 might, if I remember right. Is the Dignitary 2? I think it is a 3-2.
That is a 2 and with Assault, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 3-2. So it is only 4 might. We do have enough might to kind of gank over. I will say that even if, for some reason, those 2 Black Rose Dignitaries die on our turn, we do have Echo to kind of ready those 2 runes that we got in. Because they come in exhausted, and then we kill Echo, and those 2 runes that were exhausted are now ready. So really cool stuff.
You know, and on top of that, you're actually inviting him to go ahead and take care of my Black Rose Dignitaries because they go ahead and come in exhausted on your turn, but then I ready them on my turn. So this could be exactly what he's trying to get his opponent to play into. He's saying, you know what? There's a reason I left these available for you. Yes, I'll give up a single point. You go up to 3, but I'm going into 6 or 8 runes next turn with an Echo that can also get repeated. How much can he get done with all that energy is the question, because how much can you really do? I mean, you do have the potential of a repeated Echo as well. And when I say repeated, but the reflection token from Echo. Right. But I just don't know how you're proccing the Death Knell from Echo if they have to conquer. So this is tricky. I mean, it seems like on paper, LeBlanc could go crazy here. But can she really, I'm thinking.
So what I wanted to see, right, from the side of the, like, if the perfect opportunity is we do gank over with this Fiora. We get up to 8 runes on our turn. We play something like Ruin Rex, and then we go in with our Echo, and the in one of the battlefields that's empty, either he kills it and I get my runes back, or he doesn't kill it and I sacrifice the token to get another extra, because you would get more runes and then you recycle, get everything ready. That'd be what, a 9 rune turn afterwards, after the recycle. So this card has so many things that it can do, and I'm really happy to see it.
Oh, and this is a bummer for LeBlanc. He's saying, you know what, I can tell this Echo is going to pose such a big problem. And recycles the Echo. Wait, what did I miss there? Why did he recycle it instead of putting it to the trash? It was just a challenge, no? Did he treat it like a sabotage?
No, so Echo said when
Echo's... true, Echo's ability. Yeah. I forgot. Right. Sorry.
No, because that is a, I'm pretty sure it's not a May. Yeah, it's not a May. It's recycle me to ready your runes. So even if, let's say, you had something like a way of getting the Echo back, you can't physically do it because it's a mandatory recycle, unlike other cards.
Yeah, so you do get your runes on defense rather than offense, which feels a whole lot better for the Fiora player. But let's see, I think he threw it over to LeBlanc nonetheless, so it is her turn. Does have access to a Thousand Tail Watcher at accelerated speed, so you're able to clear at least one of these battlefields. But then you find yourself in the same predicament, tapped out, looking down the set Brawler that has the potential of taking you down with just a simple use the buff up by 4. So I don't think that's the most ideal play, but what else do you have? It looks like he's reluctant to do anything else, so most likely we'll be playing out this Watcher. But I don't know, EK, I'm not loving it. It feels like LeBlanc just trying to hang in there despite not being too far behind on points. It looks like they're just trying to do what's immediately beneficial for them right now, but not so much so for the future of this game. It almost feels that way.
Right, and I think a lot of our strategy was kind of hinging on this Echo living to this next turn. So having this set just take it out, stopping our really big turn of progress here, is just slowing our game plan down by a full turn.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's played this one Rift Herald. Yes, it's a very good card. Yes, we're gonna see a lot of value out of it, but our opponent goes up to 5.
It is, but weirdly enough, I like this play slightly more than the Watcher play because not only do you keep a Watcher for a little bit down the road, but we discussed exactly what the Watcher was going to end up leading to. So this is a higher value play in the long run, which I think he has to climb himself out of this hole one way or the other. So maybe Rufero can find some better cards down in the deck, or not down, but just look at the top 3, of course, as we saw before. But to your point, it is 2 to 5, so Fiora inching her way for closing out this game number 1. And to make matters worse, there is another challenge. Luckily, there is a Death Nail proc for LeBlanc's Rift Herald, so you are able to play another unit once it goes down. But more importantly, you're kind of keeping them off more draw potential, so I wouldn't be too surprised seeing a challenge come down. But it does cost a buff from Set, but I think it's a worthwhile investment.
Right, so not only do we get rid of this Rift Herald, I think we're looking at picking the targets. Who are we targeting with this challenge?
It looks like Fiora. There must be a BF sword on there.
Oh, yeah, there's a BF sword. Yeah, that's true. I will say, so the cool thing with the Rift Herald is on the attack, right? You can go and trade with the Rift Herald and then play an accelerated Watcher, right? For basically free. So getting rid of this on our turn stops us from going through a world filled with pain. And now just facing down a Glass Missologist that it's not the biggest of deals.
It all comes down to the one card we mentioned before this game even started. We said Fiora has the tools to kind of interact and slow down LeBlanc's game plan, and challenge was an essential piece of that puzzle. And we're seeing 2 challenges really pay dividends so far in this game number 1. But we get the second BF sword of this game, attaching it. This Fiora is mighty ×2 going up and away. It's going to be super hard for LeBlanc to deal with this, with the lack of Ruin Rexes and Karthus already set up on a battlefield. Relying on raw might is going to be a little bit too difficult. Luckily, there is the Watcher you mentioned, but at this point, how much might does this Fiora have?
Right, so we do have the buff plus the 2 BF swords. I'm pretty sure those are 2, right? So that's 7. Adding on the 4 from Fiora, that's 11, and then the 1 we're going to get from the shield, that's 12. So even if we do Watcher, that's 7 to 9.
9. Right, so there's just no world of stopping this Fiora, and that's just taking care of one of these battlefields. Granted, you could go ahead and send in the Glass Mixologist as well, but we'll see. I believe the play we're mentioning right now is going to be tapping out LeBlanc, which means you're not able to interact with the set ball on the back line. So it almost goes back to the same exact play we talked about before. It's good for the moment. You conquer up to 3. You get rid of the Fiora. So it is a mini victory in itself. But you're going to be losing your units as well. When he looked at the trash because of the Glass Mixologist Death Nail trigger as well. Most likely looking at the LeBlanc chosen champion to bring back. Unless you think of another better target.
I think right now we are looking for cards, and I think this might just be a perfect repulse opportunity from the side of Fiora. A new card inside this deck, having access to more this counter spells in this in non-green decks is just so strong.
It really is. His elevated body to another caliber, which is why a lot of people are considering body as potentially the best color coming out from set 3, alongside Chaos, which is a big thing to even say because Chaos was so far ahead of all the other colors. So we love to see a little bit more competition, if you will. But Repose is one of the reasons I would imagine Set is also finding a lot of success over there in Sydney RQ. And then you're giving another counter. You get the Repose from Signature Spell and then the Repose. They sound so similar. I don't know why Riot did that to us, right?
Not really the best. I think right here we are saying, do I want to give my opponent more cards? I think, yeah, saying, you know what, I'm going to hit him with your unit. I don't think it matters what you end up doing with this 2 extra cards because I have so much board state. You only have so many runes. I think that I have this game in the bag.
And that is the glass mixologist attacking, so they don't have control of the battlefield, which means you can't actually
Right.
play the Death Note trigger onto the battlefield, as you've seen maybe if the glass mixology was on defense. So having to force
Right.
to play it on the base, which means the Fiora player is definitely prioritizing holding onto these battlefields and potentially double holding up to 7, which means just either of these battlefields, if you're able to hang in there, that's going to be game number 1 in the books for the side of Fiora. Can they get it done? Because I'm surprised, EK, with the amount of sheer card draw we've seen from game number 1, they haven't been really able to get things churning and rolling in their direction. I wonder what they could have done. I mean, I feel like they had definitely some kind of answers, but maybe it was the lack of Karthus, because I think this was the first Karthus of the game, as he just looked to maybe draw at this turn.
Right. This card just feels like too little, too late. And I do want to add that now that I'm thinking about it, especially with Set and Fiora, one of the greatest cards that you have from the side of LeBlanc to counter these really big cards is your signature spell. Being able to create a reflection unit of any unit on the field, let's say an Elder Dragon, a Rift Herald, right, is really good. But remember, when we copy a unit, we don't copy their play effects and we don't copy their gears. So right now, there's no valid target for us to copy if we're trying to use this signature spell to our advantage. No good targets, not valid targets, sorry.
Right, not too much of a beneficial target as you mentioned, but now trying to set up for a closing defense, if you will, from the side of Fiora, thinking very carefully, saying, I'm at 7, I have a huge, massive lead. You know, you don't even have to overextend necessarily. You could decide to retreat, but I don't know. I mean, I don't hate either play of trying to go ahead and just defend. If you have some kind of combat tricks in hand, you could very well be able to defend, but with just 3 cards in hand, a Doran's Blade, an Action, and a First Mate, this is tricky. What can the LeBlanc have to punish units on the battlefield? I mean, of course, Hidden Blade can always kill a unit outright. Ruin Rex, if you sacrifice a Ruin Rex, do you have enough runes for that, though, is the question.
We'll have exactly enough, I feel, because we'll be on... Yeah, we'll be on 7 runes. So we'll have enough for exactly that line of play. I will say, LeBlanc right now says... Because conventional Riftbound says, if you're on 6 points, the best thing to do is to go back and then double conquer, because there's so many cards that are effective on battlefields. But when you have a LeBlanc player, when we do make this conquer, we'll get to double our value from our units. So now it's like, do I keep my units up in a vulnerable position to stop my opponent from getting double LeBlanc, or do I do the conventional correct play of just keeping my units back at base and allowing my opponent to get as much value as he wants?
Right, because there is a line here where you can go ahead and cart this, create a reflection token as a cart this, and then do the play you had in mind to benefit from cart this. So you're going to be able to double up on those Death Note triggers, but that might not just be enough, because that is a really tall Fiora. We said they was already defending for 12, add 2 more on top of that, so 14 total might. But Fiora is completely exhausted out on runes, so super straightforward turn. As you know, there's no interaction. Caveat being, you could have a call to glory from the buff from set legend ability, or from set chosen champion, or not the chosen, but from the set champion in general.
Right.
So there is a little bit of some interaction, but with just single card in hand, we know here in the booth that that's just simply a First Mate. So first steps first, you do have to play out, or he is playing out another card, as it looks like.
Yeah, I do feel like we're at the point where we're 1 turn too late, or we're a few mana too short. Because imagine if we had a bit more mana. We could play our Ruin Rex, go in with a Karthus, copy it, and then sacrifice our Ruin Rex for 3 procs. But even if we do get something like that, that's still not enough damage to kill the backline and the Fiora. So I think we're just kind of grasping at straws, trying to find the correct play. I mean, do you know if there's a way of getting back into this game if you're the LeBlanc player?
No, the only way I could imagine it was like Conquer Karthus, Ruin Rex, and then Sacrifice Ruin Rex, doing an impressive, I believe, Ruin Rex does 4 damage, right? So
Four
you do
damage.
12
Yeah.
total damage. That's just enough to clear some of these units, but with the Fiora alone, she might just be able to hold on. You don't even have to double conquer on your turn. You have 2 energy remaining. That could be a hidden blade. That's probably ideally what he was searching for. You still have a couple more draws to find that out, but yes, you hidden blade. But how are you taking care of the remaining 2 units in the back line? So drawing 4 or 3 cards, I should say, and didn't draw it.
And there's no hidden blades. What you could do is you go with the Karthus and you actually no, that's game no matter what, because yeah, you need 2 hidden blades. 1 hidden blade to kill the Fiora, and another hidden blade to stop the incoming set. So Fiora taking that fairly cleanly.
Is it worthwhile to maybe take out those mirror images, or what else? What other good targets does Sabotage have? Because I just don't know if it's super worthwhile.
Right, Sabotage, I mean, it is a Ruination that this deck runs. I'm not sure if we do. Remember that because of how our units are, ooh, this is actually a Trifarian War Camp going second is interesting. Because of the way our units are being played right now, the mirror image is not that big of a deal, I feel like. And it's more about how can I deal with this incoming tempo from this windswept. And I feel like this Trifarian War Cap is actually a very strong answer to that. Because if we do somehow get control of it with our, let's say, with our Fiora, because that thing's got to be mighty as soon as it enters there, you know, gank all you want, but getting rid of a Fiora from a Trifarian War Cap is really difficult.
Yeah, especially if you had a couple equipment like we saw in that game number 1. But here we are, guys. It is game number 2, potentially the last matchup of this game, or definitely the last matchup, but potentially the last game of today's Suzhou Regional. And we were discussing, does he want to go ahead and add some gear hate? It looks like he doesn't just have 1 salvage in hand. He has double salvage currently. So those BF swords won't be sticking around for too much longer. But Nidalee, we don't get to see it too often in Fiora. But I love this card. One of my favorite cards coming out from Unleashed. You can't go wrong with a Draven in a unit, no?
Yeah, I think this card's a very cool card. Being able to draw you cards for winning combat in decks like Yi, in decks like Fiora, that don't have these inherent draw cards that LeBlanc is going to show us, I think, throughout this game. That's triple salvage on the side of LeBlanc?
She's like, I'm going all in on this game plan of taking down all your equipment. Pitches a salvage because you have an additional one to work with. So this is interesting. Goes ahead and pushes in that Soaring Scout. Does do exactly as you mentioned, the reflection token to go ahead and quickly double conquer. But now you are tapped out, so that's going to be another card draw, or not another, but just an additional card draw on the side of Fiora, thanks to the combat win from Nidalee. So we'll see, because he didn't hide anything like a hidden blade, which probably would have been decent. Oh, and I'm loving the sideboard tech here, preparing for those Ruin Rex damage.
Right, yeah, not a card you see too often. I think now with Unchecked Power and this Ruin Rex, it's a very, very good card in this meta. We did see it kind of pop off in set 1, lose relevance in set 2. But I will say, I loved it. The more I'm thinking about this Nidalee, the more I'm loving it. You know, having these little tokens that do draw you cards, do give you runes, you know, they're not going to be the strongest things in combat. And being able to kind of abuse them, and not only just once, but next turn, you're threatening the other battlefield here. So, really smart play by the side of Fiora here, saying, you know what, I'm going to do a good meta read onto this kind of matchup and say, this card just gives me so much value while threatening you from making these early holds.
Right, just a fantastic card in general. He's saying, I saw you pitch 1 salvage, so I could kind of deduce that you have another salvage in hand, but I'm gonna force you to have it in case that was your only one. So still attaches it. That is LeBlanc with Assault, so does swing in for 4, so you could match the Nidalee 4 as well, but you're trading 1 for 1, which wouldn't be the most ideal, I feel like, for LeBlanc. But let's take a look at the hand. So a Rift Herald double salvage, as you said. So he did draw all 3. He was all in on kill the equipment game plan this game.
I mean, that definitely is kind of a risk that you do play, because Fiora only runs so many. I think Fiora runs 6, something like that. Like the 3 Doran's blades and then 3 BS swords.
That sounds about right. I feel like that's a good list.
Yeah, so then there's only there's a chance he just doesn't draw into them, and then you draw into salvages. So, and this might just be the case that we're seeing right now, having a lot of these salvages. At least they replace themselves. But the one thing I do want to say, this Trifarian War Camp can actually be a hindrance to us right now, if we decide to put 2 tokens on there.
I see what you mean, because that's going to be defending for 8 with that reflection token, but did find a straight up kill spell in the hidden blade. Does allow him to get additional 2 draws, but Italy was threatening a draw in general, so just basically 1 more additional draw than it would otherwise, but does go for the Hill Lock. Most likely will be utilizing that legend ability 1 more time. So just like that, another turn of double conquer. This is exactly what you were mentioning. It really starts getting a little bit out of hand. So much conquer, so much pressure that Fiora almost feels like she's just not able to hang in there, especially with the lack of your kind of ready / accelerated units like we see usually with the Fiora worthy. I'm wondering, I mean, the Fiora champ, we saw how strong she was in game number 1. Is there a world where you kind of have one in the sideboard just to swap out? Because I feel like on the draw, you want to be able to get onto these battlefields rather than not, or to be delayed by a turn because of them coming in exhausted, of course. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, he's been doing good this entire tournament long. He is X1. I think on China, the one on the tail end is a loss. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, let me just confirm that actually right now. So I will say, I love the victorious on these Trifarian War Camp games where we can get an early entrance into the Trifarian War Camp, right? But because we were on the draw, and our opponent has a Witstep Hillock, so he is gonna get both battlefields. I just don't like this. I would have loved to see the Worthy more.
Right, I love the Worthy, but at the same time, Victorious does feel really strong in certain situations. I mean, just the fact that you get 3 keywords on a card just by attaching equipment or just playing a simple pit rookie, you could never truly go wrong with that as well. But let's see how they approaches this turn, because they are desperately behind, trying to get back into this game. Goes for the Windswept Helix to deal with the real LeBlanc champ for now, and trying to say, what do you have? Because that is 3 energy. Or 4 energy, but 2 of those being used for the salvage. So bringing down the pit rookie to just 3-3, which is just a 1-for-1 trade. But I don't think LeBlanc minds that much. That is a +1 draw for you. On top of that, you don't get to hold, but LeBlanc doesn't have does have an easier time of kind of getting to these battlefields as opposed to Fiora right now.
Right, and I think the most important part here is because we didn't invest the BS sword in hand because of this incoming salvage, we do have to give up a punch first to kind of take over this battlefield, and I think we just might. Yep, there's the punch first. That's a lot of D-ramp that we had to do just to kill 1 3-my unit. But this does mean that our opponent's going to have 0 units on his turn, and we don't have something like the incoming Watcher because we're only going to be on 7 runes. I do want to add, though, I did check, and these players are 5 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw.
So the draw is on the right. So I wonder if they changed things up, because I think this is how it works in the West as well. Because Sydney was X1 on that Teemo, so maybe they kind of all decided to get on the same page. Did you translate it, or you just know?
Yeah, no, I did translate it. It's 5 wins, 0 losses, and 1 flat. So it's definitely a draw.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Okay, Fiora does get her 2nd point there. You do add another equipment, but I believe there was still another salvage in hand, but I don't think that's the biggest priority right now. You want to go ahead and see what you can do about this board state. You do have the Rift Herald. Or, wait a second, did they not update the overlay? There's no way he's just at 5 runes. He should be at 7.
He should be at 7, yeah. There
it is. So 1 short of the Rift Herald, as I believe Rift Herald is 8. A watcher doesn't feel too advantageous to go ahead and play out. I don't think he has too many clean answers. A mirror image gets you a pit rookie. Never feels too good. It is a ready pit rookie, but just doing what you can and establishes out a glass mixologist for the time being to bring back that LeBlanc champion a little bit down the road. But I think this is exactly a little bit of the wiggle room Fiora was hoping this Conquer would do, because it's definitely slowed down LeBlanc just enough for him to kind of get back into this game, because Pit Rookie would hold to 3. The Pit Rookie in the back line kind of ties things up to 4. Granted, as you said, the Punch First was definitely a bit expensive, but looking at it from this position, it looked to be worthwhile to do so, because Fiora's a champ that has 0 body runes in that mana pool so far. But what I was getting at, Fiora's a legend that doesn't mind being too low on rune economy because of her legend ability, of course. If they're able to get at least 1 order or 1 body rune, that's not the worst to play things out like the Repose. But you can completely count out something like another Punch First out of the equation, which is a single body rune at that. So this is tough, which is why we're seeing his reaction this way.
Right, but also just think about it this way: if you do go back from this Winston Pillock, that does mean another glass mixologist is going to be made, right? So now you're in this really tough position of, do I A, get my unit back, keep him safe, or B, try and equip this BF sword that we have in hand and just hope that our opponent has no way of breaking our hold? Because if he does break our hold, he's going to get a lot of value with these double mixologists.
Right, it looks to be a bit of a complicated situation, which is why he's taking his time. He does have access to a hidden blade, could leave 2 energy open, could go ahead and hide it, but looking to go more towards the right of hiding it as he plays out a BF sword. Do we know if he still has the final 3rd salvage in hand? I don't believe he's pitched this yet.
Right, I think he pitched 2 and used 1.
Yeah,
so there's no more salvages.
Oh, he pitched 2. I saw him pitch 1 and use 1, but you saw him pitch 2?
Yeah, I think it was 1 turn was 1 pitch, and then I think it's no longer in hand.
Okay, yeah, I don't see him in hand as well, and we're looking through, so there's 3 salvages, so he's kind of dreading it. He's saying, wait a minute, I forgot he has access to BF sword. So we'll see if it comes back to bite him ever so slightly, but does have access to gank on over. But I wouldn't blame him. Okay, he does gank on over, so tying things up to 4. And let's see, does he want to go ahead and threaten a double hold to keep on that even point tempo? Because I think he can defend, especially because he has the hidden blade. But I wouldn't be too upset if he just tries to defend 1 battlefield to kind of force him onto the other one. And then if he tries to gank on over, you have that bit of a safety net with the hidden blade.
Right, and the one issue is if we do leave this Pit Rookie in base, which we're not, which is smart, because we could have been completely blown out with we go into Conquer on the Windswept Hillock for free if the Pit Rookie wasn't there, and then we gank over with the copy for 5, and then we can just hit him cull just to win the game right on the spot. We all have the call from the side of LeBlanc, and the Fiora player has to kind of play around these extra cards, these extra removals that the LeBlanc player might either have or draw into.
Yeah, a little bit of tricky spot now on the side of LeBlanc. Still has a signature spell that we haven't seen all series long. He just doesn't have a fantastic target to go ahead and deploy it out. I mean, granted, Glass Mixologist isn't the worst, but I just don't think there's too many worthwhile targets in the trash currently. I think the Chosen Champ is the only one so far. Is there actually any other units? I believe that was the only unit that went down so far.
Right, I think we've seen the Chosen Champ. Maybe we discarded something, but the Chosen Champ being an amazing option. And this Watcher, using the reaction speed sacrifice to get the value from this mighty unit while we still can. But now we're in a very tough position because even this gold token, I forgot his name, but he can just walk into the Windswept, force this Hidden Blade, and then we can gank over with the Glass Mixologist and get 2 more units for free.
Yeah, that is a Pit Rookie down to just a single might. Because actually, no, that's the BF sword. So 5 down to 2. So yeah, you do trade with the honest broker, as you mentioned, so not feeling too bad. You trade, and then the glass mixologist could do exactly what you had envisioned the first time around. You conquer on Windswept Hillock, and then you gank on over with a second gas mixologist, so you're able to bring back the honest broker, bring back the LeBlanc champ, and then things are kind of just snowballing from there. This is a really phenomenal position so far for LeBlanc. I think we're heading ourselves to game 3. I know we're right in the midst of this game, as it's just right down in the middle, but I feel like all the tempo is heavily leaning towards LeBlanc, especially after this pit rookie going down, which is her final unit. And oh, uses a hidden blade on the pit rookie just to find some more answers potentially.
But also, that does mean that we are forced to put both mixologists on the exact same spot, whereas beforehand, one would be on the Windswept, one would be on the Dreyfarian. So maybe it's more about, I need to draw cards right now, and I feel like because I feel like Fiora needs a way of accelerating at least one unit over, which might be hard without that Fiora worthy champion that we were talking about.
I think so as well. It all comes down to, why doesn't he have the worthy? I mean, he is X1 for a reason, so making it work regardless. But sometimes I do feel like it is a bit lacking, at least from the Fiora matchups that we've seen. But at the same time, maybe there's just other situations, more likely situations, where the Fiora Victorious comes into play a little bit more. But here goes the challenge coming up from the top deck that did so much work. But with the lack of units currently on the board, challenge is no good whatsoever. So this is just a tough pill to swallow for Fiora, saying, how can I possibly contest? I need to take down both of these battlefields. I don't have a first mate in hand. If I do have a first mate, I need to play out a unit for 4 and then first mate. Yes, I could conquer 1, but there's a lurking in the back line, that watcher that could go ahead and just conquer after that. So I think this... Oh, he does have a first mate in hand, so maybe there's some lines, but either line is just not too good of a position for Fiora so far.
I mean, no matter what, this incoming mirror image, copying our watcher just to be a 14 might attack, just might be a bit too much to handle. So we're gonna first mate over. We're gonna equip everything, I'm assuming, right? But then next turn, it'll come back to Fiora's turn. We'll have mirror image, 14 attack, and we don't have any runes up to kind of contest that because of all the deramping we had to do this game.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. There is I was going to say there is a potential of a challenge, but you're completely out of runes for this turn. So you do get the conquer, you go up to 5, but just as you told us here, the watcher coming in double trouble, 14 total might is going to be more than enough. You hold to 7. One of those glass mixologists is a real one, so does indeed hold, and then the watcher should be able to clean things up. There's no riposte to worry about, so no type of counters for that mirror image. So just like that, I don't see it any other way. We will be finding ourselves a game number 3, and that is actually the final game for day 1 of the Suzhou Regional. It couldn't end any better way, because a lot of these games haven't gone to game 3. This is one of 2 or 3 rounds that have actually gone to game number 3. So definitely neck and neck, which you love to see in Riftbound.
Right, and I feel like now LeBlanc has to say, all right, I use my biggest trump card, which is this battlefield, right? We did see how much we struggled without the kind of early game tempo, early game lead of this Windswept Hillock. And it's more about, how can I now recreate what I did this game without this big boon that is this battlefield.
And remind me real quick, UK, how did the LeBlanc challenge, the Order LeBlanc come in readied from the Glass Mixologist?
It shouldn't have.
It shouldn't have, right? Maybe that was a little bit of oversight, but just like that, exactly as we mentioned here, that is a game 3 situation for round number 7, the final round. Who can get the job done and lock in? I believe both of these players might be locked in for day number 2, but one of these players might not be so locked in for the top 8, because the X2, when there's still 3 to 4 more Swiss rounds left for tomorrow, is very unlikely.
Late game. But let me just make sure.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
anyone in chat
it was
remembers
Aspirin's card.
what those world bundles, those were super cool worlds bundle Battlefield, and it is Aspirin Oakley. That's the first thing that kind of came to mind. But I'm approaching 11 hours in. It started at nighttime, approaching morning, or it is daytime already, 8 a.m. my time. So
It's 8
sometimes
a.m.
don't know exactly what I'm saying here, but it is indeed an aspirin climb, which is interesting. Why do we feel
Mhm.
that can benefit LeBlanc? Is it just to kind of set up those Karthus engine that much more likely? You're giving yourself more breathing room to set up? Because once you're set up, you're kind of good from there, right? So I could only imagine that's what he has in mind.
Right. I think the best way to think about it is if you go back to game one, I did say I think at one point was, oh, if only we had one more turn, we could have done X X X X, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like buying LeBlanc one more turn with the amount of draws, with these tokens, with the Echo, with the Watcher, can just be the straw that broke the camel's back. Fiora is a very good deck. Um, in general, not having that kind of tempo. But we did see that if it runs out of gas, it runs out of gas very hard. We saw it best when we saw the Poppy deck. So maybe just saying, I'm going to try and keep this game as long as possible. My value is going to be better long term. Your value is going to be worse long term. Yep.
Right, and put quite simply, you are going second, which means you do have a bit of a catching up to do. So I feel like this is just a battlefield he decides to do while he's guaranteed to go second, but does have the option to go ahead and play out the LeBlanc chosen champion like he did in game number one. Wasn't too fruitful in that game, but let's see if it's a little bit different for this final game three. Unsung Hero getting established out, so pretty much an ideal curve. If he has a BF sword for this Unsung Hero, I don't think you could get any little bit better than that. Granted, you did see not just one, not just two, but three salvages in that game too. So you could be slightly worried of that. So goes for the pit rookie for now. So that's just going to be +2. So no sunken temple proc or anything. I'm wondering if he wants to go ahead and play out a unit, or not play, but send a unit to the battlefield. Or are we going to be playing the patient game here?
I mean, to be fair, LeBlanc has really hard ways of getting this +1. So saying, you know what, I'm just gonna get the other battlefield and eventually get the +1 draw from Sunken. I do want to say, I'm not sure if you caught it, plus Vi on the side of LeBlanc.
The
Any thoughts about
Peacemaker, I
that card?
see it.
I think it's a very cool addition to the deck. New, I think. Any thoughts about the card?
I love it. You know, if they didn't have to spend a power, you could go ahead and play out the Vi right here on this very turn too. But the fact that it did cost a power, which balances the card, because without that power, she would definitely be seen. I mean, she's already seen a whole lot of play, but she would just be that much more effective. So I like the Vi. I think it's pretty good in a lot of order decks. I think you're never wrong running at least one Vi in pretty much any order deck. Ambush is a heck of a thing. On top of that, you do have a stun every time you do ambush in on offense, I will add. So not too bad. I want to see if it does come into play, but the Karthus does come online. I do see a challenge in hand, and you do have the option with the Unsung Hero. LeBlanc is just going to have to eat it there because there is no kind of negate / counter to stop this Karthus from going down. And you don't even have a hidden blade hidden, so you can't react to get the benefit from Karthus. So yeah, this is just a dead Karthus right now. Or will be soon.
Right. And that is the strength of this challenge. Being able to deal with this card basically for free is very strong. But most importantly, we had to go down a lot of runes to make these plays. We are a full turn behind in terms of rune count. And Fiora can not only get this challenge off, but develop their board even more.
Exactly right. And we saw how good these challenges were in game number one. It was pretty much the game-winning card, and it might just very well be the game-winning card in this final closing game number three. Because taking the Karthus down as early as your turn 2, you can never go wrong with that. Retreats back from the Aspirin climb back to base, has the first mate to go ahead and effectively gank on over the other battlefield. You're swinging in You have 3 damage as the combat. There wasn't any combat, so you're trying to go down. You're trying to get the additional +2, and that you do. So you trade the real one because you know the temporary one, it won't be allowing him to hold for a point. More importantly, you do get your +2 draw, and not looking too bad. You have the counter with riposte. You have some other hidden blades. You have a punch first. And the unit that you're lacking, you at least have a guaranteed unit in the chosen zone. So I feel like Fiora is definitely in a commanding position so far. It does depend what LeBlanc is able to do on this following turn. But so far, so good if you're Fiora.
And right now, if you're Fiora, you're kind of tasked with this really hard decision of, do I go for this first mate Doran's Blade and get this extra ramp turn? Or do I go for this aggressive play where I send in my pay rookie with the Dorans and at least get rid of this token before I can get an extra draw on the beginning phase?
Mm-hmm. And it looks like his decision is to go in a bit more aggressively, get the 3rd point, so it keeps on effectively the even point tempo when we're talking about an aspirant climb. You go up to 3. Oh, no, he actually held that one already, so stays at 2. So doesn't get up to 3 this time around, but decides to go at... But in that case, is he just trying to deny LeBlanc an easier conquer? But it's just 2. I guess with the 1 rune you have available, you're always threatening from the punch first. So I see the logic. I see some kind of logic here for Fiora.
And to be fair, if we did do that play on side of Fiora of conquering the other battlefield, we do have a salvage and a cull. So if we have any way of just getting onto this battlefield, we would have just completely blown out the game.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that double 2-drop slow turn. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, just taking the time to go ahead and establish out some units. So taking a turn off, knowing that Fiora isn't too far ahead, as she will only go up to conquer up to 4 this turn. But if you have another Karthus in hand, that could be the turn to really ramp up and set yourself up for a huge turn. But honestly, despite having an aspirant climb, how much turns do you really have? Because next turn, it doesn't seem to be that big turn. You're talking about 2 turns down the road, which could be looking down from 4 to perhaps 6, potentially 8 for those 2 turns. So this is a risky strategy, but I just don't think LeBlanc had any better options, honestly.
Right, and we've essentially bought ourselves 1 extra turn. Because if this was a normal game of Riftbound, we'd go 4, 6, 8, end of game. But now at least we have a turn of we get to conquer with these channel units. Then they can die, and then we have another turn where we can develop our board with these extra runes that we wouldn't have access to if it wasn't for the Aspirant's Climb game. So not the worst position to be in if you're on the side of LeBlanc. This is more of a setup game. But it's more about, do we have the cards in hand? Do we have the big units? Do we have Herald? Do we have Echo to kind of make advantage of these extra runes that we're about to get?
Yeah, and you're still a little bit far from getting those units online. Right now, it looks like it might just be a Glass Mixologist. You could go a little bit more offensive. Actually, it's only a first mate with a hidden blade on that battlefield. So I don't really like the ambush Vi in this position. But does he kind of... I mean, you have to assume the only hidden card that we've seen this best of 3 series long is a hidden blade from Fiora. I don't even know if Fiora plays any other hidden cards. I guess sometimes a Facebreaker could do a little bit of work. But most often than not, it should be that hidden blade. So trying to think carefully if you want to go ahead and take the odds of something else being behind that hidden card. But I don't like my chances. But what I do like is the chances of Fiora taking down this game 3. Has an excellent back line. And we said it before, LeBlanc doesn't have the best, or I should say the easiest way of dealing with the back line. The only way being is those Ruin Rexes and Karthus combo. And none of those cards are currently on the board for LeBlanc. So those cards are definitely safe for a little bit longer for Fiora, which is exactly what she needs to do to continue on the game plan of conquer after conquer, little by little getting her way closer to that 9th final point for this game 3.
Right, and this is where this deck becomes unbelievably difficult, because there's so many plays you can do here. You can Watcher and base. You can try and salvage. You can try and play your Mixologist and play it till next turn. All these different lines that you have to think 3-4 turns down the line to see which one's the winning one. And I think our player here has gone for the Watcher. Being able to at least try and trade with this Dignitary could be the answer here that we want to find from this game.
Right, hanging in there with just 2 total might, which kind of tells me that Hidden Blade isn't for your opponent. This Hidden Blade is for me. I'm trying to get greedy with the card draw, just adding 2 additional card draws. I'll be surprised to go ahead. I mean, funny enough, if you Hidden Blade the Dignitary, the Soaring Scout can't conquer because it's only 1 might to 2 might. So there is a little bit of reason to go ahead and take it down. But I'm kind of liking the double draw because of the units I have in the back line a little bit better. So, oh, interesting. Hidden Blading on the opposing unit, allow him to draw 2. But I think he's exactly as that. He's trying to hold up to 5. More importantly, keeping the first mate because you're at 5. Most likely won't get up to, or we'll see if he wants to stay at 5. Or does he want to go ahead on the off tempo, if you will, for Aspen Climb to conquer up to 6? Because this is tricky. Sometimes you do want to stay on the double conquer game plan, but sometimes you want to threaten a hold for the victory as well. So let's see exactly what Fiora has. I will point out real quick though, Fiora has been so clean with it all best of 3 series long. They haven't missed a single Fiora legend ability. Sometimes even the best of players miss maybe 1, at most 2 Fiora Legends abilities. I haven't seen it whatsoever. Very diligent, making sure they always ramp when they need it. Or when they proc, I should say.
Right, I think this champ and Volibear, notorious for being missed, I think, a lot of the times. And I think we're going into time right now.
Oh, overtime. Active player turn 0. Good eye, EK. I wasn't paying attention to the time. Time was just kind of flying by for this round number 7. But that means Fiora is turn number 1. So just 1 more turn apiece following this. And you're at 4. You are going for the double conquer. You want to make sure you're always 2 points ahead, which guarantees you a win regardless if you're up ahead or not. Or up at the final point or not. So 5. You definitely want to go ahead and get up to 6 if you can, which I believe you should be able to.
Right, and I do think maybe this was a kind of a mismanagement of time from the side of the LeBlanc player. I think you definitely would have wanted the extra turn from being turn 1, I'm pretty sure. So maybe just if we ended our turn a bit quicker, we could have forced the Fiora to be turn 0 and bought us an extra turn.
Yeah, honestly, for the simple fact that we are in overtime procedures, this is over, EK. I don't see it any other way. I think the fact that you're conquering up to 6 kind of solidifies it because the most they can go ahead and score next turn is up to 4. 4, that's still a 2-point deficit. That's a guaranteed GG.
Right, guaranteed GG.
If you deny them the conquer, then we're still talking. But then they still have another turn to score at least 1 more point to create that 2-point margin between you and your opponent. So I don't know, it's like a 90% chance I feel this Fiora is walking away victorious today.
Right, and speaking of victorious, even if we do get this Hidden Blade off, we have victorious just to walk over and get this point. There's nothing that this LeBlanc player can do to stop this from happening, which is why I would have loved to see him end the turn a little bit earlier, because look at our hand. We have Singularity. Imagine how good Singularity would be in this spot. We conquer with the Watcher, Singularity 2 of his units, and we'd be in such a great position to kind of win this game. And it was that small mismanagement of time, these overtime procedures, that did him in.
Right, I'm wondering if there is actually a timer close by. Maybe he just wasn't paying attention to it, of course. But honestly, Fiora seemingly has so much gas in the hand. Not only the counterspell, the riposte, but has not 1, but triple punch first currently in the hand. So even if there was a world that you try to push in from one of these battlefields, I don't think you're ever cracking 15 total buff might or increase of might. I mean, Singularity, right. You can't punch first at reaction speed. So there is a world, but that pretty much is the final nail coming down from Fiora. We said it. He goes up to 6. LeBlanc on her final turn can most get up to 4, which is still always a 2-point difference between you and your opponent. I think that pretty much has 100% locked it in. Fiora will remain X1 and look pretty good. I hope to see at least one Fiora top 8 tomorrow.
Yeah, and there's that set just to say, you know what, there's no way of you winning this game, even if you had the extra turns, because that set is just threatening so much. And I feel like the Fiora would have just won this regardless. Really well played. You know, we see the challenges kind of stop the early game tempo from LeBlanc. We saw, you know, this ability to use our units to kind of get over these double holds that, or just not even care about them when they were happening. And I think that's just us seeing how China has just perfected this deck. I feel. Do you feel that we will see kind of a similar performance from Fiora in the Sydney regionals?
I hope so, because I was talking to a couple friends. They were feeling like Fiora is one of the better decks that really benefited from set 3. It was already looking good in Spiritforged. The only thing that was significantly holding Fiora back was the lack of draws, but now with things like Sacrifice, as we saw being used to perfection with that Unsung Hero, and you even have access to the Temporal Call, or is it Spiritual Call? You know, the one that adds temporary.
Yeah, I think it. I think it's. Hold on. I remember
Shadows
that card.
Call.
Shadows Call.
Right,
yeah, that card
for
we're gonna be
access
seeing
for
a
those
lot.
kind of cards, and even some Fioras running things like Kinku Initiate, you have so much more access to stay consistent because you're able to see more of your deck. And Fiora having more answers, more resources, that is a powerful deck, as we know she can do really well when she has the card, but there's some situations where you just don't draw it. So I like Fiora in set 3, and we're going to see more and more going forward. I don't know if we will see a top 8 in Sydney because it's such a bit more of a massive and competitive event. They're both competitive, but we are talking about 650 players versus closing in on 2,000 players. So it is a little bit of a difference, but heck, I think maybe one could squeeze in there in top 8 for Sydney.
I mean, definitely going to be seeing a day 2 top 64, but
definitely.
I mean, with how diverse the meta is, I think anyone can make it to top 8. There's so many decks that I feel like can make top 8 in this meta, which is really good to see.
Yeah, I was looking around Twitter. They were saying there's never been a TCG with this kind of a diverse meta, specifically speaking about the Sydney RQ, where the number one being LeBlanc was just coming in, I believe, 6 or 7%. I don't remember any TCGs that I've seen a meta share spread quite like this. I mean, it was 7%, 6%, 5%, 4%, so on and so forth. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty much, you know, a little pocket of each legend being represented among a huge major event. So well off, you know, I'll give Riot their flowers. It looked a little bit dangerous in set 1 where Kaiser getting crazy out of control. Master Yi and Kaiser maybe being the most prominent players. And then definitely looking a little bit scary with Draven being at 25 to 30%. Thankfully, they reacted as quickly as they could. The ban list came in, and then more importantly, set 3 just added so many more tools for a lot of these decks, which is why we're seeing the wonderful diversity in the meta so far. I hope it stays this way. I hope maybe the regional winner doesn't kind of spike a legend's appearance and says, you know, this is just the best legend, because I do think it comes down to true player skill right now.
Right. I mean, I think we did hear Alan say in the interview where there's so many good decks out there that even if there is no such thing as the deck that beats all. We had Draven last set. That was kind of that, hey, I'm going to win, right? That's my win con. You're playing a worse deck than me. That's all you got. That's all there is to it. But having there's such a diverse meta. Like how are you supposed to not only beat Aurora, but also aggressive like decks like Lilia Ornn, but also stuff like Yi and Fiora, right? There's so many, and then it's not even considering all the Pyke and Ezreal shenanigans that we're seeing.
Yeah, or Azir. I mean, there's just no deck I feel like that single-handedly has a favorable matchup across the board, which I think is a sign of a healthy game, of a healthy meta game, because there shouldn't be just one card or one legend, if you will, that just takes care of everything. some decks in
For
the
sure.
right hands feels that way, but I don't think overall it really is like that. But we'll see. I mean, we're gonna have 2 regional champions once this weekend is all said and done. Will it be the same champion? I'm gonna bet it's gonna be 2 completely different champions. But at the end of the day, they are the players that walked out ahead, having the highest skill and a little bit of luck, of course. And EK, I don't know what's going on, but why are they still playing unless they didn't give turn 0 to LeBlanc when we said it was turn 0? Because you're fighting for 4. He's at 6. There must be something we're missing in terms of active player, because he's going in. He's trying to do all the calculations, saying, what can I possibly do? Singularity here, watcher there. But we're playing for 4, right? So we must be missing
Right.
something in terms of overtime.
Is China's overtime 5 turns?
No.
we-
It's definitely across the board worldwide rules that is 3-turn
Right.
overtime.
So there, we do see the turn dice says 2 right there. So maybe just kind of playing it out for the stream. But I think, yeah, because it will end the turn, and at most, our player, if he had the hand somehow, and there's another punch first. That's not what you want to see. If he did have the hand, we could have maybe go up to 4-6. That's still a win from the side of Fiora. And it's not even accounting for their turn that they're going to have.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, LeBlanc is playing for some kind of hidden statistic saying, I conquered this many times, I killed this many units. But honestly, I don't know. You kind of just save your mental fortitude for the next day too. So I don't know. I mean, you're getting these little mini successes. Yes, it feels a little bit better. Oh, and okay. He's saying, you know what? In a world where we play this out, I think I could have won the long run. But I think more importantly, Fiora was just playing for the immediate
Right.
near future. And as we predicted, there was just no world of closing in on that 2-point deficit. Fiora walking away from this best of 3 series, maybe the best game of China so far in day number 1. But I'm excited, K. We have a whole nother day 2, or a whole nother day, I should say, of regional coming down tomorrow.